What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick.
I'm Gabriel.
We're Squaresville, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at the Neighborhood's new album, Chip Chrome and the Monotones.
This is the fourth studio album from California-based band The Neighborhood, and it's their follow-up to 2018's self-titled album, The Neighborhood.
The album runs about 30 minutes and features 11 tracks, although really it's like 10.
It's 10 and like some spitball poetry
some
and sound.
noise.
Like, it's pretty rough in some of these, so we're gonna walk you through it. It'll be fun.
It's
an adventure.
Yeah.
It's a jarring, changing adventure.
It sure happens to you.
It does.
You put on some headphones, you press play, and it sure does play.
It does a thing to you, and it makes the sounds.
Anyways, this confusion and jarring lack of enthusiasm will be explained to you shortly once we talk about the opening track, Chip Chrome,
which is
kind of just worthless noise.
It's just a sound. Like I don't even know why it's a track. They should have just attached it to Pretty Boy. I don't get it. But I mean, it's just a kickoff. It's just a noise to kick off the album, which goes right into Pretty Boy, which sounds nothing like the opening, to be clear.
No, not at all. It's an entirely different.
It's kind of a love song. You know, he's definitely talking about someone that he really enjoys. It's a slower paced, kind of romantic little ballad, and I enjoy it. Even though it is nothing like what I expected at the start of the album. Yeah,
it's very strange energy, but it's very groovy. It's shaker and drum bass, but it's still, I mean, it's okay, it's catchy.
Yeah, Pretty Boy is the kind of song that you could sing to your girlfriend or significant other, and they'll love it. They'll adore you forever. It's that kind of song.
This album has a real structural issue in that there is none, and you are just kind of going from tone to tone,
very abruptly,
ricocheting as fast as possible.
It's very rough, some of the pacing on this.
Yeah.
You go from like the slow Pretty Boy pace straight into Lost in Translation, which is just like, it's upbeat, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's one of the
stronger tracks.
Kind of like a throwback to like 60s, 70s funk. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great song. It's one of my favorites on the album.
It's very catchy. It's very infectious. It does show a recurring theme in that a lot of the choruses and the songwriting lyrically are pretty repetitive in this album. You're going to hear the choruses a minimum of 3 times each time.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, some of them are really good, but when they're not really good,
unfortunately,
repeatedly, not exactly the best. It feels kind of strange, tonally, structurally, and sonically, I guess, to repeatedly bounce back and forth. And I feel like if it had been restructured to be more cohesive, it would have been a much more solid effort. And there are definitely changes I would have made to where the songs go on the track list.
And that moves into Devil's Advocate, which has an incredibly infectious bass line and is probably like one of the more catchy songs to sing along with. It's easily one of the highest peaks of this album.
Certainly. It's one of the ones they released as a single. I think it might have been the first one they released as a single. And
started with the best, and
it's
all downhill from there.
When I heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I love it! New Neighborhood. This is unique, and it sounds different. It's catchy. The bass line really is just like, it's such a. It makes you just want to dance. The lyrics are weird and interesting.
Yeah, they're inventive.
They're super.
The lyrical pattern is very it keeps you on your toes in a good way.
It's the most infectious song on the album, the one that you're gonna want to hear, the one that's gonna be on replay, stuff like that. It's great. Listen to it.
So we leave the lofty highs of Devil's Advocate, and we fall far, 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 far down below into the musty realm of Hell or High Water, and this is just a boring, saloon-inspired jig with annoyingly repetitive altered guitar.
It's so boring.
It's so boring. It takes talent, it takes skill to play the guitar the way they're playing it, but they just decide that one riff was enough.
Devil's Advocate sounds nothing like this. And neither does anything else on the album. I don't think anything else on the album sounds.
There's no shared tonality at all.
No, it's just this one, and it's so long and it's so boring.
Yeah.
And it just took.
That sure does drag on.
Yeah, it just took up space.
Sure does.
Took up space. They ran that runtime up with just this song.
Anyways,
moving on.
We should leave this angry place.
Oh, yeah,
All right, buckle up. We're going back to
We're going back to fun places
a good
now.
song.
You know, weirdly enough, it's great. Cherry Flavored, the next song on the album, is fantastic. It's so good. It's an emotionally resonating song while still being catchy.
There's some good analogies. There's some tasty literary comparisons here when they're talking about the saturation of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And its flavor thereof.
The cherry flavor.
Yeah,
like,
or the sweet and sour motivation. It's like, all right, come on, show me what you got.
I mean, like, Jesse, in his lyrical work throughout the entirety of their career, has always been pretty eclectic. It definitely shows when he's making metaphors and describing things, and if he's struggling with, like, maybe substance abuse, which may very well be what the song's about. I don't know, like, but if there is any connection to his personal life, which there may or may not be, as lyrical content does not always reflect something that's going on.
No, it does not, and that brings us to another point that we can talk about. We have no idea who is actually singing this to us, either Jesse or the character Chip Chrome and his band, the Monotones, because the album is a very clear comparison to David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And I'm going to be real with you. I know we don't have any of the videos posted up as of the time of this recording, but David Bowie is my fucking man. And I'm not going to lie to you. To compare this album so directly to Ziggy Stardust, which is nothing but bangers. 5 Years, Stone Love, Moon Age Daydream,
that's like your
fantastic.
favorite Bowie song.
Yeah, that's my favorite Bowie song ever. Are on that album, and you try to aspire to that loosely with such low effort stuff is like, why would you do that?
On top of the fact that, like, the mythology of Chip Chrome is basically non-present in the album itself. In order to get the character in anything other than name, you'd have to be viewing some kind of extended media, whether it be his Instagram or YouTube videos that kind of bring the character into the album. But on the sound itself, none of it is carried.
The mythos is just not there.
It just doesn't relate. Even not the names of the songs, not what's happening in the songs. They all feel like it's probably just Jesse. I don't really understand what the character is for.
No. To describe the album as aptly as possible, it is a collection of music.
Yeah,
there's
no real
relation
It
whatsoever.
doesn't feel connected at all. It doesn't give you that concept album connection vibe.
That's gonna rant over. Except it's not. You're still watching this. Idiot.
So on top of what we just said,
we lied a little bit. There is one relation. Anytime they have a good song, they immediately follow it up with some dog shit. Yeah.
It's just all right. So
we
the
have the monotones.
The monotones. What is this and why? It's like it takes up a whole track on.
Yeah, it's a full like. You wasted a minute and 13 of my fucking life.
It's like
listening to this shit. It is actively aggravating.
It's so annoying, and it's like I don't understand.
It's just
like
shrinking.
It's just pitch spoken word like boys. No, like you have.
This isn't music.
Like it takes up a track, and you could have put that space to literally anything else, and I would have.
You could have made cherry flavored longer. Just
make it longer, like
just a suggestion,
or something in that vein. Like I don't know. I don't really understand what the point of putting this on here was.
How does it relate, Jesse? If you watch this, please respond to us. How does it relate to the opening noise of Chip Chrome?
No,
God, does it make me angry?
It's just bad. It's so annoying. You're gonna want to skip it every time you get to it if you're listening to the album through.
I avoided stepping on this Lego anytime that I listen to this. I just hit it. I hit the song on Spotify.
Oh, good call. Boo-hoo is great. So you go from steaming pile of dog shit to Boo-hoo, which is a fun little hip-hoppy kind of groove.
To what would be a throwaway track on a good album.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like on like something really good.
Yeah. But here in the sea of destitution, we're forced to clutch to whatever raft we can find.
Boo-hoo, it's not a standout on an album where like the bars aren't really that high to pass. It's certainly better than some of the other shit on here, but like, it's listenable.
When you were talking about Devil's Advocate being a little rap driven, this is the one that reminds me the most.
really
This
rappy.
definitely, like, when I heard it the first time, I totally got, like, the sense that he was trying to, not imitate, but, like, channel Lil Yachty in there.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, so he's done some solo stuff, and he's definitely like a big hip-hop fan,
Yeah.
so that's probably where he's doing that.
Because when he gets to call her Alexandra, because I treat her like my queen, that sounds like a little boat verse.
Yeah, little boat, but
I really wonder who had creative control over this album. If it was just the band being unrestrained, or if there was like an outside force, maybe like a friend, a publisher, producer, somebody who was just like, hey, maybe try some of this, and they were like,
so I think it's their lead singer. I think Jesse Rutherford has most of it, and he's just kind of an oddball anyway.
There's a neato conspiracy theory that we can formulate here, because on the canvas of Spotify, during the last track of this song, Jesse's putting on the makeup, and he's becoming like the character Chip Chrome. So maybe we can divine that that's a forced transition, that he doesn't actually want to do that. He's putting on the makeup to play the part, but that's not really who he is.
That could be it. It could all be a facade.
That may be just me reaching to justify having to listen to this 31-minute album so many times to complete this review, because I do it for you.
Let's move on to the next track, I guess.
Kind of, this is another one that follows the repetitive trend, because once you're gonna hear the chorus a couple times, and that's about all there is to it.
You should know that. It's okay. Like,
It's definitely like easy listening. It's not bad.
it's
by
kind of
any
forgettable.
stretch. Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like, it is just okay.
Good.
It's just not bad. I don't even have that much to say about it, just because I find it kind of
It's just
mediocre. Yeah. And then,
But luckily, or rather unluckily, we move from like a plateau of nothing to
to
more dog
slightly-
shit.
Slightly worse. Like worse.
And
Wait, Tobacco Sunburst is next.
yeah,
I like tobacco. You don't like Tobacco
I
Sunburst?
like Tobacco Sunburst.
He does not like Tobacco Sunburst.
The man has spoken.
Oh, okay. Well, No, I don't. That last statement, redact what I said. I like.
That man does not speak for both
I
of us.
like Tobacco Sunburst. I honestly feel like it should have been the last song on the album.
I agree with you on that. It definitely has close of the album,
Yeah.
like feel
to
grandiosity to it.
It's got the sound, the emotional payoff and everything. It really feels
the weight
like
to
the
it.
weight of the song should have been the close, and it's not.
It's considerably more introspective than Middle of Nowhere as well. It leaves
Absolutely.
you much more. I mean, there's already nothing to fucking think about, but it leaves you with more to think about. I will say, good on them. That fiddle goes fucking hard.
It sounds so good.
Yeah,
Like that's what it reminds me of.
Some very confusing lyrics, though, if we're being real.
Lots of eye references.
Yeah, lots of pairs of eyes, potential. I don't know, like
green eyes,
brown eyes,
looking
blue
in
eyes.
your blue
Yeah,
eye.
he like
Somebody has a singular blue eye because I'm pretty sure he says looking in your blue eye. Singular.
eyes.
Does he say eyes?
His eyes.
It's a very muted S.
Ghost note.
Ghost note.
No, I mean there's a lot of room for like, what's the word? Where you like can draw your own conclusions. Interpretation.
Interpretation.
Thank you, Nick, and no one else in this room. There's a lot of room for interpretation in this song, in that the lyrics are not clear at all.
He apparently had a black eye at one point.
He did have black
He got
eye.
punched.
And
Somebody
then
punched
he
him.
took a red eye, which is like what, a train?
I guess that's a train. Maybe a
I don't
plane.
know. I don't know.
The movie
Who knows?
Red Eye is on a plane. But anyway, yeah, it should have been the last song on the album because it's way better
Then Middle of Nowhere.
I think it's called Middle of Somewhere.
Somewhere. Middle of somewhere.
Middle of Somewhere. So, middle of... What are we going to say?
Middle of somewhere.
Middle of Somewhere.
Middle of somewhere.
It is...
Super forgettable. Holy
not the end of an album. It's just... It shouldn't be. It just feels...
shit.
boring. Like
Big forgettable energy.
You just got through with Tobacco Sunburst, which has like a whole fiddle arrangement.
Yeah, you
in
had to
it.
pay that fiddlist to come in here and blow the fucking speakers off.
And then not make it the close to your
What
album.
the fuck? We had to go and listen to the song again. And prior to this recording, we just went through the whole album.
Yeah,
to
we did
refresh
this like
ourselves.
literally like an hour ago.
Yeah, we forgot what
And
the
we
fucking
forgot what
chorus
it was. Because I would have been happier if they had like condensed it and maybe considered the song structure more. Well,
Or at all.
One way or another, it's not as good as their self-titled album or Wiped Out, which both are fantastic. And I love you. Good album, but those two are my standout neighborhood like albums.
I'm going out of my way to forget that we listened to this. This video will be the only evidence of the fact that
The
I
fact
have.
that I had to deal with this. We play devil's advocate sometimes in the
Yeah.
house.
This album lacks direction, and quality, and good songs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, unfortunately.
The highs don't outweigh the lows. Is all it is. Like some of the stuff is really good, and if listened to individually, you'll enjoy that. But some of the stuff that's in it, it's jarring when you come off of a great song and go to something that is either bad or just like off tone. It just feels weird.
Just such a strange transition that you were not ready for.
Yeah, the character of Chip Chrome is non-existent, so the idea of it being about him just doesn't really resonate at all. So that's a total miss for me.
As a wrap up and in conclusion, I think the ideas of this album were just lost in translation. God, I'm funny. So, that being said, these are the few there are my favorite songs on this album.
And these are mine.
So, if you have suffered through this album like we have, what did you think? Are we on the
Same page.
same page? Are we not? Let us know in the comments, but just remember,
We're right.
you're wrong. Deal with it.